Welcome back, Honors. So let's pick up where we left off today and kind of keep going with William the Conqueror, right? So William the big guy, you know, the one that died on his horse because he got too fat. So anyway, no, William the Conqueror, one of his biggest impacts in Western history, though, of course, is this thing called the Domesday Book, right? Now, we started talking about it in class, but the Domesday Book is the very first form of an effective income tax system, right? So anyway, it's a survey of people living in England and what they owned and how much they paid in taxes, and this was used to create a very efficient tax system based on your income, right? Now, do we have income taxes today? Yes, we do, right? So it makes a more fair system so that people can be taxed equally. This also prevents rebellions, uprisings, revolts, all that fun stuff. So this is also an original take off whose census? Who remembers the original census guy? Good job, Ryan Bauer, right? Augustus. So, but anyway, let's keep going. Now, I need all of you to brace yourself really quick. But this is the thing I was talking about in class. You should all be so happy about the thing that we're about to talk about now. The Magna Carta is one of the most important, know your rights, okay? What are some of the basic rights that you have as people today? Freedom of speech. Freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of this, freedom of that, right? So freedom of the press, right to bear, we're not going to get in that one. We're going to say more like, no search and seizure, no cruel and unusual punishment, no imprisonment without just cause, habeas corpus, yay! You should be saying yay. Every time from now on, every time you hear me say Magna Carta, you better say yay, all right? Because you need to be happy about the Magna Carta because the Magna Carta is important. Because King Richard the Lionhearted started not the first crusade, that's aggressive, it's supposed to say third, but third crusade. And his cousin King John took over, and he started abusing his power because he was such a tool bag. All right, anyway, so now, check it out, but we'll talk about it real quick. So the Magna Carta, good job. All right, so anyway, now, William's descendants, okay, William the Conqueror's descendants began to abuse their power. So really quick, King Richard the Lionhearted was a very famous king of England, well known for being a great warrior. Ironically enough, he wasn't a very good king. He only spent 10 months in England out of his 10-year reign. He went off to fight the Third Crusade, and the only time he was ever back in England was he was trying to raise money for taxes to try and make it so he could go fight more wars, okay? So he became known as King Richard the Lionhearted because of his brave attributes in battle, even though he was well known for executing people in mass numbers. So now his cousin through marriage, this says brother somewhere on here, but that's not right. So his cousin through marriage is going to have to take over when he goes off to the Third Crusade. We'll talk about another funny story when we get to the Crusades, but it's hilarious. You'll like it. So anyway, now, he had most of the English lands in France in an expensive war. He lost most of them in a very, very expensive war. Now, he began to raise taxes on the nobles to try and circumvent a lot of this money that was spent on this war. And the nobles were extremely upset about this. They were like, you cannot raise taxes without the approved group of people. And King John was like, well, I'll do whatever I want to. Now remember, nobles have vassals. All they need to do is get them together. So what they did is they raised an army and they forced King John at the tip of a sword to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. Thank you. All right, so anyway, now, 1215, very important year. You always need to know that that document was signed in 1215, okay? And this document is amazing, all right? This document, also known as the Great Charter in Latin, laid down the groundwork of democracy in Europe. It is know your rights, okay? For example, if a police officer says, if a police officer says, I'm going to look through your car now, you have the right to say, no, you are not, because this is my property, right? That is a right that you have, unless they have just cause. Just cause is very key, though, okay? It's not like you can, be holding a gun inside your car and be like, you can't come in here, because they can at that point. So anyway, now, but laid the groundwork for democracy in Europe, and also established this other really important thing called the British Parliament. You should be underlining that twice, because that is a bicameral legislative body that is used to approve everything in Britain. And it is also the makeup of our Senate and House of Representatives, and all of this was originally taken all the way from the who? The Romans. Good job, Colin Miller. I heard you. All right, so anyway, now, good stuff. Now, the Magna Carta set up a lot of amazing things. The Magna Carta made it so kings cannot raise taxes without the approval of a council of nobles and clergy, which is going to be turned into the Houses of Parliament, the House of Lords, and the House of Commons. Now, later, that became the British Parliament, and the king also was not allowed to arrest people without just cause or take property without just cause, right? These are basic foundings of our Constitution today, okay? So, Magna Carta, there you go, is a phenomenal document. And also, this is the most important thing that came out of it, the right of habeas corpus, the right that you are allowed to invoke for any time that you are charged with a crime, but let's hope that never happens. Now, habeas corpus is Latin for having the body. Now, what that means is you must be having a body of evidence to be proven guilty of a crime. It's the foundings of the you are innocent until you are proven guilty concept, okay? You had to be convicted by a jury to be sent to jail according to habeas corpus. And the king, this is the money part, so important. The Magna Carta, sorry, my wife texted me. The Magna Carta made it. So even the king has to obey the laws of the common people. Everyone has to obey the same laws laid down by this thing, including the king himself. So that established this thing called a limited monarchy. Like, for example, if Obama walked into your house right now and, stole something, he would be charged for breaking and entering and larceny because he is subject to the laws as well. Yay, Magna Carta. All right, so anyway, the other thing really quick was the power of the popes was growing rapidly. Now, popes were powerful spiritual leaders. We know that already, duh. Popes claimed authority over rulers, duh, papal supremacy. This often led to conflicts between kings and popes. So as you can tell, the church is beginning to interfere with governmental bodies, and this is going to start leading up to things like the Crusades and whatnot, okay? So, continuing with that, though, the worst of the worst is a guy that all my honors kids need to know, and he started making this split between the resentment between the government and the church happen. His name was Gregory VII, and he particularly pissed off this one guy named Henry IV of Germany. But anyway, well, it's not Germany, it's the Holy Roman Empire at the time, as you know. Anyway, the Pope he laid down these new political powers of the Pope. And according to Gregory VII, the Pope can be judged by no one. The Roman Catholic Church has never done wrong and never will do wrong until the end of time. We've already talked about the Inquisition and maybe your silent consent of the slave trade in the U.S. So anyway, now the Pope also can depose and restore bishops as they choose, right? He alone can call general councils and authorize canon law. He can depose emperors. And then the last one is he can absolve subjects from their allegiance. And if a king ever wants to come and talk to him, they must kiss his feet. I will leave you with that, and we'll talk about this stuff more tomorrow. Have a good evening, Camden Catholic.